Welcome to the SciPy Tools Plenary session. This is an opportunity to get to learn more about new and existing projects, see their updates, whatnot. It's not meant to be an exhaustive list, but just, community highlights. So without further ado, first up, we have Wolf Volpret presenting on Conda Forge.
Thanks a lot. I wanted to give a quick update on Conda Forge. For those who don't know, what is Conda Forge? It's a cross-platform, language-independent distribution of scientific packages, and it's by far the largest channel for the Conda and Mamba package manager ecosystem. It's entirely built on public and free CI services, and is running on open and free infrastructure. And we support a lot of different architectures. For example, Windows, OS X, both like the new and the old chips, and a bunch of different Linux versions. And we continue to see a strong growth, so we have this exponential growth in package versions, and we have a very weirdly linear growth in numbers of packages over time. But yeah, it's still going strong after all these years. And some updates on things that we are thinking about right now. So we are working on some new recipe formats in the Mamba org. We've been investigating WebAssembly and mscript32 as another target for Conda Forge, so that all of the packages that we have on Conda Forge could also work in the browser or in these strong WebAssembly sandboxes. We're also working to add mirrors of Conda Forge, and we already started one that's running on the GitHub packages, and to remove a bit of the vendor lock that we currently have. And it's also really awesome to see that Anaconda is moving a lot of the products that used to live in their Conda organization into the Conda incubator organization, which is with an open governance. And so a lot of really great things are happening. And we'd love it if you come to our talk at 11:30 and join us for the sprints, and also check out the lightning talks.
Great, thank you for that, Wolf. This thing is messed up. Next up, we have Inessa Pawson presenting on NUMPY. If I can, there you go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Inessa Pawson. I'm the NUMPY Contributor Experience Lead, and this morning I will give a quick update on NUMPY. In case you're new to Python or randomly stumbled upon the video recording of this presentation, NUMPY is an open source foundational package for numerical analysis and scientific computing with Python. A few highlights from another very busy year for NUMPY. We had 2 releases. Release 1.22 included type annotations, preliminary version of the proposed array API standard, new methods for quantile, percentile, and related functions, refactored ufuncs, and the new configurable memory allocator. Highlights of NUMPY 1.23 included a much faster load TXT, DL pack is now exposed in the Python API, improvements to F2Py, and improvements to promotion and comparisons of structured types. We are grateful for the continuous support from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. In mid-2021, they issued a grant through the Essential Open Source Software for Science program to NUMPY, SciPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas to support the onboarding, inclusion, and retention of contributors from underrepresented groups and promote and advance inclusive culture in the SciPy ecosystem. Melissa Mendonça is the lead on this grant. Also, last year, NUMPY had another user survey. News from the NUMPY documentation team. The team was actively working on adding more tutorials to numpy.org, while the existing tutorials are being continuously refined to ensure they promote best practices for using NumPy. One of the new tutorials was developed by Mukulika Pahari as part of the last year's Google season of docs. Mukulika was mentored by Melissa Mendonça and Rose Barnowski. Also, in the past year, Mars Lee hosted an alt-text sprint to improve the accessibility of numpy.org. Lastly, if you prefer learning by watching videos, NumPy now has an official YouTube channel, numpy_team. Please subscribe. News from the NumPy web team. NumPy.org is now maintained by the Scientific Python project. The website's terminal was completely rebuilt with Jupyter Lite, a Jupyter Lab distribution that runs entirely in the browser. Accessibility improvements and translations are also underway. There are quite a few ways you can contribute to NumPy. We are hosting a sprint. Please join us to say hi or for a working session. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that update, Anessa. Next, we have Elliot Saad-Anglad presenting on Matplotlib.
Hello, I'm Elliot. You may recognize me as QLogic on GitHub. I'm talking about Matplotlib today. So we have a lot of community news. We'd like to thank the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative again for awarding us a Cycle 4 grant that is funding both myself and Thomas Caswell. We also were awarded the NASA ROSES grant, which will be used to update Matplotlib for modern data structures, and we've hired Kyle Sundin, who will be starting in October this year. Another Chan Zuckerberg grant was awarded for the Contributor Experience Leads, which we are working with Melissa Mendonça and Noah Tamir. And I believe Anissa mentioned that today and also in a talk yesterday. We have started a new contributors meeting that's the first Tuesday of the month. So if you're interested in contributing to Matplotlib, please come to that. We have interesting talks about things then. We moved our documentation from GitHub Pages to DigitalOcean because they got too big for them. And I want to remind anybody who's working on a third-party package to please add our PyPI classifier framework Matplotlib and also add yourself to our MPL third-party page. Over the past year, we've had a major release 3.5 and several bug fix releases. I want to just look at some small, minor features. So in 3.5, the subplot mosaic gained support for sharing axes. If you haven't heard of subplot mosaic, please look it up. It's pretty cool, but getting also axis sharing in there is pretty nice as well. We have new modes for image interpolation. So essentially that allows you to have a different sort of interpolation of your images when they get scaled down. There are many other features in 3.5, new backends, improved widgets. There's a link there at the bottom of the slide that will show you all the other things that are cool in 3.5. In 3.6, we have more cool new things. So in 3D, there's a new focal length setting. We have a third roll angle. And then the final new thing in 3.6 that I really want to highlight is the font fallback code, which allows Matplotlib to look for glyphs in a different language in a secondary or tertiary font in case it's not available in the first one. For the future, we have our what's new for 3.6 at that URL, and maybe your contribution could be in it as well. Please come to our sprints. I will be there and Tom will be there, and hopefully we'll see you there as well. And of course, I must end saying that this whole presentation was made in Matplotlib, the entire thing, not just the plots, but the whole PDF. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Prabhu Ramachandran presenting on Mayavi.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So I'll tell you briefly about what Mayavi is. It's a powerful 3D visualization package. It's also a library. One of the best features that it has is it's fully scriptable from an IPython session. But it also provides a complete user interface that you see like this. Then very powerful 3D visualization features thanks to VTK. You can also make very nice dialogues very easily with very little amount of code, so you can kind of extend and embed Mayavi in your own apps. But you can do more. In 2018/19, thanks to Enthought, we added a support for server-side rendering, so you can actually use it in a notebook. But that wasn't enough because you can run it headless. But basically, Mayavi has been around for about 20 plus years, has a full-featured UI, has seamless NumPy integration, and has this really cool feature for automatic script recording. So whatever you do on the UI, you can actually record into a script. So recently, we released 4.8.0 for SciPy, and you can now install it on a headless server. And we have support for client-side rendering via ITK widgets, and you can actually have it display remotely. Finally, several things we need to work on. I'll be working on some of these in a sort of informal sprint. Finally, we need you. The bus number is currently 1. I'm super busy. So if you can help in any way, please join me. Thank you. My time's up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that update, Prabhu. Next up, we have Draga Donsawapop presenting on NUMPY.
Hi, everyone. So NUMPY is an image and data viewer in Python for Python, and it provides GUI access to the scientific Python ecosystem that we're all here to celebrate. We're open source and community driven. Check out our slide. There's a link in the bottom right-hand corner, so bit.ly/NUMPY-SciPy for ways to get in touch with us. So NUMPY is a domain agnostic n-dimensional viewer and annotation tool. So we provide 2D and 3D rendering, but you can actually open any NumPy-like array of any dimensions, and NUMPY will add sliders for you for any dimensions that are not on the screen. And you can see that in the GIF. And that GIF displays information from cryo-TEM data of HIV variants, and it uses 3 different layer types in NUMPY. So you've got an image for the tomogram, a points layer, annotating the hexamers of the capsid proteins, and a vectors layer to show their orientations as well. And we also support labels, shapes, tracks, and surfaces, and soon also a general purpose graph layer. Now, visualization and annotation are critical, but they're not enough. So NUMPY was designed to be easily extensible through GUI elements, key bindings, and event callbacks to interact with the viewer and its layers. To extend NUMPY even further, you can write your own plugin, and the NUMPY Hub now indexes more than 180 plugins to support your analysis workflows. Coming soon, we've got async slicing and rendering, multi-resolution volumes, multiple canvases, and much more. So come say hi during the sprints, and we'd love to see you.
Thank you, Draga. Up next, we have Stuart Mumford presenting on SunPy/PyCHC.
Good morning. Instead of trying to do one thing in 90 seconds, I'm going to try and do 2. So first off, SunPy is a package for obtaining, interacting and understanding solar physics data. So if you ever have a desire to look at pretty pictures of the sun or time series data with full metadata and coordinate information, then SunPy is for you. SunPy is built on a lot of the SciPy stack, but especially makes very heavy use of AstroPy, including extending the coordinates framework and various other things. As well as the core SunPy package, we have a variety of affiliated packages, some all of varying degrees of specialization for different SunPy things. On top of that, more generally, we maintain a thing called MPL animators, which is interactive animations in Matplotlib, and also a blog in case you ever want to write a blog in Sphinx. We have weekly community calls, a matrix chat room, and a discourse if you want to get involved. PyHC is a community collaboration for all packages in various areas of heliophysics, of which SunPy is a part. PyHC has about 5 core packages and many, many other packages that do different things. And They have regular calls, discussion topics, and various community events, such as the first PyHC summer school that was in Madrid in May. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have John Kirkham presenting on Zarr.
Hi, I'm John Kirkham. You may know me by my GitHub username, J.A. Kirkham. I'm giving an update on Zarr. First thing, we have a new Zarr logo. See, pretty logo. Also, the community is growing. We have many different implementations of Zarr outside of Python now. Maybe not everybody knows this. There's Julia, Rust, C++, etc. Also, various different communities are picking it up. As part of this, we've made some organizational changes in Zarr. First, we've hired our community manager, Sankeet Verma, who you may have interacted with on Gitter or in our community calls. Say hi, he's very friendly, funded by CZI. We formed the Zarr Implementation Council, or ZIC, which has representatives of each of these different libraries that votes on spec changes. And we've set up the ZEP process, or Zarr Enhancement Proposals, for making changes to the spec or other organizational changes related to specs generally. In particular, we have the V3 spec in provisional form. Details are here. Here's a few highlights. You can read about it in the docs. You can try it out as well. In Zarr 2.12, we have the V3 spec implementable. You need to set this environment variable, but you can try this out. More details in this blog post. Please let us know what you think. Here's all of our GitHub, Gitter, Twitter, and community calls. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Ryan Abernathy presenting on PANGEO.
Hi, good morning. I just have one slide and I'll try to go quick. So PANGEO is a community organization focused on integration of scientific Python software for big data geoscience applications. It's not a package. There's a lot of different elements to our project. So we like to group our activities into three main categories: community, software, and cloud infrastructure. So I'll just run through these updates on this very busy slide. So in terms of community, we're running a very active discourse forum, and we welcome you to come ask questions there about your science, questions about how to use the tools. We're hosting weekly community calls, and we've been running this really fun weekly seminar called the PANGEO Showcase, which gives people an opportunity to show off the tools and software and data they're working on, and we archive those talks and put them on Zenodo, and you get a DOI. I want to shout out Project Pythia, which is a community-driven educational resource in the PANGEO space, and there was a talk about that. And we were discussing whether we should try to revive our annual meeting, which sort of went into hiatus when the pandemic hit. In terms of software, our community's been working hard on core maintenance and development of X-Ray and Zarr. We have some new packages in the ecosystem: XBatcher, an interface for machine learning between X-Ray, PyTorch, and TensorFlow; Rechunker for transforming chunks of chunked array formats; and PANGEO Forge on a new ETL framework. I'm out of time? Okay. And we're doing a bunch of cloud infrastructure stuff, mostly in partnership with 2i2c. So big shout out to 2i2c for that.
Great. Thank you so much. Next up, we will have a 23-minute break. Snacks served in the usual spot. Return at 10:50 to your talk location of choice.